Welcome to the Black Light Project. Come on and step into our black lives, and we gon' shine our lights bright. Our black lights, Black Light Project.
What's good, y'all? It's Maurice Lewis here, otherwise known as Mo. I have been the host of the Black Light Project YouTube series, and I figured, seeing as though I've been interviewing everybody else and you've been getting to know the other men, I'd drop by and give you 5 interesting facts about me. Fact number 1 is I have been to 6 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 4 different high schools. And the story behind it is basically I just moved around a lot as a child. So I've lived in Maryland, I lived in North Carolina, lived in Texas, and also lived in Kentucky. Baby, since the day you came into my life, you've made me realize that we were born to fly. Number 2 is I actually can sing. So I've been singing basically my whole life in church and stuff like that. But I've also performed in kind of like show choir when I went to school at Penn State, and the choir was actually called Essence of Joy. Fact number 3 is your boy can cook. Not only can I cook, but I throws it down in the kitchen. And my most requested dish, I would have to say, is going to be my curry chicken, rice and peas and cabbage. I throws it down. Fact number 4 is I love to run. And I'm actually preparing for a marathon, which is a little over 26 miles, that I'm gonna run at the end of the year. So, yeah. And my 5th and final fact is that I am a nature nerd. I really actually love being in nature and hiking, and it could be running and biking, but more so hiking. And I've been, especially in this area, to Medoc Mountain, Eno Falls River, William B. Umstead Park, further along in Asheville and stuff. And actually, I'm hiking the Grand Canyon this year. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know Mo Lewis. Please stay on the lookout for our YouTube series where we'll be getting to know all the other men that were selected for this wonderful project. Peace. What's good, y'all? We are here with Quez Murphy, and we are actually in the Imperial Center. And specifically, they have a children's museum and science center. And we picked this venue because not only am I an educator, but this guy is an educator as well. And last time we met, actually, you were working in the school system, but now you're not. So can you elaborate on what you're doing a little bit?
Gotcha. So the last time I saw you, I was working at Rocky Mount Prep. So it's a local charter school here in Rocky Mount. And I served as their academic success coordinator. So I worked with grades 6 through 12. And when COVID happened, things kind of switched and I needed to find a new game plan for myself. And so I started working at the YMCA, but equally I transitioned over to the Boys and Girls Club where I serve as the director of iCares programs. And so we have a partnership with Nash County Public Schools and I oversee their after school programs.
Okay. So do you work with children anymore?
Yeah, so I see children Monday through Thursday. And so I still am hands-on with the children that I work with.
Okay. What do you do specifically hands-on with them then?
Gotcha. So we do the academic-based program. So when COVID happened, we listened out for our parents, and a lot of them needed academic support. And so we wanted to be that person for them. And so I work with students on their academics, but equally that social and emotional learning for students as well, and just trying to get the overall child is what I'm really big on.
That's dope. Cause one, as a teacher, I've seen these kids need help. But it's good to see how there are different organizations in the community that are trying to utilize their resources to help parents as much as they can. You know what I'm saying? Because this COVID thing really interrupted the normal flow of school for not only teachers and staff, but students as well. So like I really like that, especially with the like helping the students like with their work and stuff like that, being that I guess parent when the parent can't be there, when the parent don't understand it, because a lot of times with this new math that we always hear, it's like, oh, well, I don't know how to do that, or I don't.
So I'll serve at Basketball Elementary School, and a lot of times those students are students who don't have a positive role model in their life, let alone a positive male black role model in their life. So going into that school, we did have some black male teachers, but you know, some teachers are strictly about, I'm going to teach my lesson and then that's just it, right? But I like to go beyond that. And so a lot of times I will pick my students up on the weekends or take care of them after school hours, just because I'm really about the whole and the overall child, not just about your test scores, about what you can make on a test, but equally just who are you as a person. And so one of my memories is I like to bring kids in my office for lunchtime, just because it's cool and they just enjoy it. It gets them away from their teachers and they just can relax and chill. And so I remember I had a student, and I don't know how we got on the topic, it's about like fathers and dads in their lives. And one of the students asked this young man, he was like, "Where's your dad?" And the kid responded, he said, he looked up to the sky, he said, "My dad's in heaven." And then the other kid was like, "Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's really sad." And then the other kid was like, "No, that's okay, because I have another dad, and it's Mr. Murphy." And like, I don't cry often. I don't cry often, but kids make me cry. And so like that day I was just like crying the whole entire day, because to think that from like 8 to 2:30, I had an impact on this child's life. From August to May, like I'm impacting these students' lives, and for them to compare me to their dad or to have the ability to fill in that void for him, it's something that I really can't explain. So that's probably one of my fondest memories since being in education, is a lot of kids who look up to me as their dad or their big brother. And so that's what keeps me going even when things are a little stressful.
Oh, I understand. Like even last week, so a year ago, I was in charge of a group of young black men through this program called Gentlemen's Agreement. And during part of the school day, they would come to me, we like talk about different issues and work through different problems and stuff like that. And I don't have the time to do it this year because I'm on the leadership team and it's a lot of different things that come with that. But they were transitioning to electives, and one of their electives was on my hallway. And when they were supposed to be going to the class, I was outside having a mass break, and it's just like a group of young black men come up like, "Oh, what's good, Mr. Lewis? We miss you," all of this other stuff. And I'm like cheesing and feeling all good and stuff like that. But it really made me feel good, because you never know the impact that you have on someone until, like, not saying they recognize you and tell you, hey, you had this impact, but it's really those moments that just like, it makes the struggle worth it. I would ask you then, because you mentioned being a black male educator, what do you believe the role of black men is in education? And how should we use our, I guess, a privilege as a black man in education to help the youth?
Well, for me personally, in my K-12 career in school, I think I had like 2 black male educators. And I needed a father in my life. And so we spend more hours in school than we do with our own families. And so I was seeking that positive male role model in the school hours. And I never really got that. And so for me personally, I think of being the person that you needed when you were younger, right? And so that's like the quote that I live by when I enter any school that I go to, is to be that person that you needed when you were younger. And so for me, that was a dad. For me, that was a big brother. For me, that was a role model that I can see outside of my community that was doing something positive with their lives. And so the role of a black male educator is to simply just do that. Be the person that you needed when you were younger, to be all in for children, no matter the cause, no matter the circumstances. Because once you do that, the impact is more than the check that you get. It's more than the salary or the bonuses. That impact that you have on those children's life is probably the best feeling in the world. And so our role is to be that person for those children, to show up at their games, to show up when they don't expect us to, and to just be a listening ear at all times for children.
It's also important, you said that you're like this big brother type of figure to these students. Do you find yourself like ever getting out and like having some fun with the students?
Most definitely. So if there's like pep rally games, I'm the first person to sign up to play against the students. I'm going to Star City and skating with the students. Like, I'm a young teacher, and I think that's probably what differentiates me between some of my other colleagues or staff members. I don't mind getting out there and playing with the kids. Like, and I'm not just going to let them win because they're children. Like, I give them a run for their money, and so I love being out there and playing with my kids.
I wanted to know, do you have like one most embarrassing moment of like Mr. Murphy with the kids?
Yeah, so the 5th grade team and I, we decided that if the kids scored high on their EOGs, that we would allow them to pie us in the face. And so I remember the day, just like it was yesterday, I chose my favorite student to do it, right? So I'm thinking he won't pie me in the face too hard. He'll take a light on me. I'm his favorite teacher. He's one of my favorite kids. So we're outside on the playground. The first 2 teachers, they go, and then it's Mr. Murphy's time. So I'm like begging the kid, I'm like, please do not pie me in my face hard. I'll buy you lunch, or whatever it may take. And so they do the 3, 2, 1. I'm thinking he's gonna wait till the 1 to pie me in my face. So the teacher's like 3, 2, and he like slams me in my face with a pie. And so I'm like, I can't let him get away with it. And so I probably was dressed like I was today. And so I started chasing him. And as soon as I get up and turn the corner, I fall in front of the whole school, flat on my face. And so for the kids who didn't like me, they loved it. And for the kids who loved it, like I fell flat on my face. And so like, I can't just like stay there. Like I have to get back and start chasing him. But I'm like dripped in pie and stuff like that. My hair was a mess. This is when I had like curly hair in my head. And so needless to say, I felt embarrassed myself for the 5th grade, and that's all they talked about for the rest of the year.
Oh, so, yeah, you'll be known as the teacher forever.
Most definitely.
That like fell when he was trying to chase a student after they got pie.
Even to this day, they always show me the video. And that's the thing, like even in today's time, they recorded it, they posted on Instagram, on Facebook. And so that's all they do is remind me of the time that I got pied in the face really hard with my favorite student. But equally at that time, I started to run, and then I fell in front of the whole school. So
wow, so it was double embarrassing.
Double embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
So but it's a connection, yeah.
I understand that because like I got stories. So one, I had a student like, oh, Mr. Lewis, because they know I'm an assistant cross country coach. Right. So they know I run and stuff. So they're like, oh, Mr. Lewis, you slow. I'm like, bruh, nah, I ain't slow. Like even in my head, I'm like, Lord Jesus, like hopefully I'm faster than this kid. So I'm like, all right, bet, let's race then. So the first time I've raced 2 students, the first time I went out and raced a student, I did dust him. Like I won the race, but I also like messed up my like hamstring or something. I pulled something in there. And then the second time, it was like maybe a couple months later, I'm like, I got challenged again. So I'm like, okay, well, let me stretch first. So beware, you're gonna have to get to a point where you're gonna be stretching before you get into playing with the kids. Yeah. But I do that with them. Like we have mask breaks. So it's during those times when like I'll tend to like get outside and we're like, all right, let's race. So like, let's get the soccer ball, let's kick the ball around. And I don't know, it's just big fun. Like I'm a big kid.
Yeah, like, I think relationships is probably the most important thing in education. Mm-hmm. And so once they see that you're a person, like you're Mr. Murphy, but you're also a person at the end of the day, like you can get them to do whatever you need them to do. And so for me, like I'm getting out there, I'm playing kickball, I'm playing tug of war, I'm playing basketball with my kids. Because you learn a lot in those moments than you do inside your classroom. And so those moments of playing basketball, those moments are skating, and I don't know how to skate. And so they're gonna see me fall, they're gonna see me, embarrass myself out there, but it's also fun, and the kids, like those bonds are important for me.
I like always say I can't wait until like maybe 10, 15 years down the line when they're like adults and you're living your life and you're in like the grocery store or something. They're like, yo, Mr. Lewis, I remember you. You might like, yo, I like blah, 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 blah. Like those are the moments that I'm patiently waiting for. But I guess I kind of have had those moments because I've been teaching for 3 years now. And I have seen some of my students from like my first year, second year teaching, and just like having those conversations and seeing where they are in their life now, and where they've grown is just like, it feels special to know that you played a role in that.
Yeah.
And it's always good to know that like, you're going to be that teacher that they remember 20 years from now or whatever.
Most definitely. So the schools that I currently serve at now, I had some of those students when I was at the elementary level. And so to hear them say that that's Mr. Murphy, that's my teacher, like those words are impactful because I'm not still their teacher, but they still see me in that sight or that limelight. And so it gives me the motivation to keep going because I'm something to them, right? And so even when the days get a little hard and the workload is a little overwhelming, to know that those kids are dependent on me and counting on me, those are the moments that keep me going, right? And so I tell educators and tell my staff all the time, we know what we do, we know how to do it, we know where we're gonna do it at, and we know when. But the why behind we do it is probably the most important thing. And so if our why is not impacting the lives of children, if our why is not to get those kids to where they need to be, then we're probably not in the right field. And so every day I make sure that I remind myself of my why, and that's to impact the lives of children.
Respect.